Hi guys, this is Zach with The Alchemical Man, your guide to personal alchemy and self-transformation. Today we are talking about abundance. What does abundance mean? How to attract abundance? And what could potentially be blocking your abundance? So what if abundance was not something that we need to be chasing? What if abundance is something that we allow, that we make space for, and we think we have the rights to it? So if we think of untouched natural ecosystems, like a rainforest is full of lush plant life, it's full of birds, it's full of animals, it's full of reptiles, it's full of fungi, it's full of oxygen, it's full of life and symbiosis. If we think of like a remote river, there's tons of fish in the river, and there's the crustaceans, and there's birds eating the different animals. And, there's bears that come to feed on the fish, and there's eagles, and the universe is constantly expanding. And so when we think about nature, we really give nature this right to be abundant. We give nature this right to be symbiotic and just harmonious. And so why is it so different with us, right? We have this like scarcity mindset. We have this like blockage. And we have this kind of like poverty of spiritual and emotional and psychological and financial stuff. So the first step is to not chase abundance, but allow it into your life, make space for it, and believe that you deserve it and it is your right to have it. So then, when we're thinking about abundance in ourselves, what are we looking at? So first, obviously, we're looking at our bodies, right? So our bodies are the most important thing that we have. It's the base for everything. And health is wealth. So is our body happy? Is it have chronic pain? Does it have chronic indigestion? How is our body supporting our mental health and psychology? So how is our body doing? First step to abundance. How is our love doing? Do we love ourselves? Do we love other people in our life? Do people love us? Do we love being ourselves? Do we love at least some of the ways we spend our time each day? Do we love something bigger than us? This can be a tricky one because a lot of us come from families that programmed us and gave us weird messages on love. Part of our responsibility in our healing processes is to end the ancestral pain, heal ourselves, and teach a new lesson of love moving forward to the future generations of our family tree. I'll make another video on that later. So we have our bodies, we have love, we have inner peace, which is kind of similar to psychological and emotional well-being, but it's a little bit different in the sense that a lot of times inner peace comes from detaching from society, because we all live in a capitalist society that has set lots of traps and tricks for us to fall into. And we're talking about abundance. Next, we're going to talk about money. But I just want to say that a lot of the time, the path to abundance is not the path to money. Of course, money is required, but in capitalist society, there are paths to money, wealth, and there's paths to abundance, which is kind of this esoteric thing. And a lot of times the path to abundance involves, at least temporarily, turning your back on the path to money. And the path to money, straight money, is not respecting abundance. So back to what we were saying about inner peace. So inner peace, a lot of times you have to detach from the capitalist game. A lot of people really like this socio-economic indicator stuff. I'm wearing this So that means I can afford it, and you should recognize that I'm wearing this expensive thing. I got this car, it's better than your car, da 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 da. I'm eating at this restaurant, you know, all of this stuff. That is not that's not abundance. That is just being like a mouse in the capitalist game. So inner peace usually requires detaching from capitalism, not trying to impress people, don't compare yourself to others, and find yourself content with yourself without relation to what other people think, right? Inner peace. Are you creating opportunities for yourself? Are opportunities being attracted to you? Are opportunities presenting themselves to you? Are you able to seize on opportunities when they do present themselves? And are you excited and creating opportunities for yourself? The last one we're going to talk about is financial flow. Do you have enough money to where you're comfortable? Do you have enough time because you're getting paid enough for you to have time off? Are you able to just generally do the things that you need to do in life because you have enough money? I'll tell you something about myself, a little personal story. I was a waiter for 18 years at restaurants, a lot of restaurants. Waiter, dishwasher. I basically had all the worst jobs you can come up with. But I always had plenty of money. You know, I started waiting tables when I was 16. I was buying tickets to Thailand, buying super expensive music gear and cameras, and like I always had plenty of money. And I lived on what people called a poverty level. So what am I trying to say? I'm going to tell you a quick secret to money that I always use to my advantage, is that money is a ratio of how much you make versus how much you spend. And the quicker you can detach from capitalist society, the easier that ratio is going to be healthy on a small income. Okay. So now we've recognized what we need to be looking at ourselves to kind of see this abundance. We need to be healthy. We need to have inner peace. We need to be able to create change through opportunities. If we need to change something, we need to have good health, and we need to have enough money to function at a reasonable, in a reasonable manner within the context of society, our daily lives. I know some of you have kids. That definitely compacts the situation. And a lot of times we're in relationships where, maybe one person in the relationship has a different attitude toward, let's call it the social economical state of the household, right? Okay, so now we're going to talk about how you may be blocking your abundance, okay? So the first one is constantly focusing on problems. People that constantly focus on problems aren't creating space for anything positive to come into their life. You cannot constantly be focusing on problems unless you're about to change them. If you are focused on a problem and you are about to say, I'm about to flip this problem and completely transform it, okay, focus on it. But if you're just looking at something negatively and just being annoyed by everything and just always focused on the details, that's going to block your abundance. It's basically escapist behavior to not be able to move forward in life and blame your lack of progress on something external. Another one, believing you're not worthy. This one can come from our families. This is like a taught behavior, and this is something that comes from ancestral trauma. So believing you're not worthy. If you had parents that didn't believe they were worthy, and their parents didn't believe they were worthy, you have to cut the ancestral trauma there. This is where healers can come into use. They can be helpful. This is where plant medicine can also become helpful. Plant medicine can also be helpful for the self-love thing that we were talking about earlier. If you don't have love for yourself, you don't know how to love, plant medicine can be helpful for this. Believing you're not worthy, plant medicine can be helpful for this, because you are worthy. It's like the rainforest or the river analogy that we were using earlier. You have a divine right to harmony. You have infinite potential, and we need to unlock the blockages to allow that to manifest and for us to get what we deserve, which is as close as we can get to harmony and abundance. And so this scarcity mindset, this can also come from the family tree, it can also come from ancestral trauma. If your parents didn't have enough money and you come from a poor family, or if people were struggling with food, or if people were struggling with this type of stuff, I've suffered from this one as well. You need to just say to yourself, this is 2025, anything can happen. I am completely separated from my family past. I can, make money. I can get what I need. And also, be aware of who you surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with a bunch of people with traits that you are trying to transform out of, be mindful of that, because this whole famous thing that they say about you're only as successful as the 5 people that you surround yourself with, it goes for everything. You can replace the word successful with almost any other word. So be real mindful of who you spend your time with. And if you don't have anyone good to hang out with, maybe it's better to, not hang out with people, hang out with me via YouTube. You can also write me an email. We can chat on Zoom. I have tons of people that I chat with, and I help with these types of things. Fear of not having enough, all these block your abundance, allowing the abundance to come into your life. Okay, so now we talked about what is abundance, what blocks abundance, and now let's talk about some ways to make abundance come into your life and to invite abundance into your life. First one is gratitude practices. This is one that I use every day. I don't know who you speak to, if you speak to anyone, but I speak to the great mystery, the great spirit, the universe. This is who I speak to. And when I go to bed at night, I go through my gratitude practices. Pretty much every night, sometimes I forget, but it's basically a habit. And I just go through everything that I'm thankful for. I start with, my body, my health. Thank you for being born. Thank you for this life. Thank you for, my personality. Thank you for my identity. Thank you for my parents that gave birth to me. Thank you for my wife. Thank you for my dog. Thank you for my house. Thank you for my job. Thank you for my sister. Thank you for my mother. Thank you for my father. And I go down every single thing that I can possibly be thankful for, and I slowly drift into sleep. And this gratitude practice is kind of this conveyor belt into my sleep cycle. You can do the gratitude practice any time of day. You don't have to do it at night. But I really do think that the most pure form of prayer is expressing gratitude. On to our next one, visualization. So back to what I was just saying about prayer. So a lot of people pray and they say, please give me this. But a much more effective way of doing that is actually by visualizing what you want and visualizing yourself in that position and visualizing what you're asking for as a reality and exploring it on a sensory level. So let's say that you want, you hate your apartment, you can't find an affordable apartment, and you really, really need somewhere to live that's more healthy, And so just start visualizing it. Visualize this apartment. How does it feel? How is the light in the room? How is the expression on your face while you're sitting in the room? What's outside the window? Is there a tree? Is there a bird? Is there some bricks? And you really start viewing yourself in that reality, and really start opening like some type of like prying something in and prying it apart. Start opening space for that to come in, and practice this visualization. And if you practice it enough, you can just internally just kind of internalize it and trust that it is this created reality that is not physically presented itself to you, but that you've already created it. So gratitude, visualization, and being generous. Being generous is very, very, very basic for abundance. You should always be generous. And the most important thing about being generous is that when you're generous, do not give with the expectation of receiving. You should always give because you enjoy the experience of giving, and you give as an offering. You don't give as like a transaction. And you need to be very careful of this, because when you give and you think that it's going to come back to you, a lot of times you get mad because people aren't as generous as you might think they are. And it's really important. When I had the biggest money problems of my life is always when I give the most. And I've always, given homeless people a lot of money, I'm a generally generous person. And I'm always bringing, food and things to share with people. And it's a really good practice. It's a really good practice, and it really invites a lot of abundance and good luck into your life to just be flowing with being generous and not expecting things back. Sometimes it can be, you can run the risk of getting a bit salty if you're over generous, but in general, generosity. So yeah, do this visualization, do these gratitude practices, be generous, create this space in your mind where you invite this abundance into your life, and just really believe that you have this right to be abundant, like the forest, like the river, and that you just have to undo the blockages to get there, and you have to detach from capitalism. So I use my own affirmations, but they're a bit quirky, so I found this nice affirmation for you, and I'm just going to share it for you. I'll read it twice for you. So the affirmation goes, I am open to receiving unlimited abundance. The universe supports my growth and prosperity. I attract opportunities, love, and wealth with ease. I am open to receiving unlimited abundance. The universe supports my growth and prosperity. I attract opportunities, love, and wealth with ease. Guys, affirmations work. Affirmations are like visualizing. Affirmations are vibrational because the voice is vibrational. Everything is vibration. When you send these affirmations in and you believe them in your mind, you're both visualizing and you're sending this vibrational stamp into, let's say, you're like basically creating magnetic energy for this to be a reality in your life. I heard this really interesting thing that these Hindu monks were saying recently about prayer, and it was really cool. They were saying, like, I forget exactly what they said, but they were basically saying, if you pray, the first step to praying is you say it verbally, and you go and you say it a ton of times, and you say it, and you say it, and you say it, and you say it. second step to prayer is once you've said it so many times, you can start saying it mentally and you hear it through your ears. And you pray and you pray and you pray. And you know, they use mantras. That's what I'm referring to as mantras. So it's short mantras that are shorter than that affirmation I just gave you. And so you hear it through your head and you can run this mantra through your head over and over and over and over again. And the final stage of it is that it just is. Like you don't even have to repeat it in your mind anymore. It just is, and you're channeling that mantra, and it's just like this frequency. This is the same thing with affirmations. Say them, say them, say them. I use affirmations a lot. Mine, like I say, are a bit quirky. They don't really make sense, but they make sense to me. And they help. They help, and they're a powerful tool for manifestation. Because you say these things, you say them, you visualize them, and you create this magnetic, like, laser that is just bringing that to you. Okay, so that affirmation is good. There's plenty that you can do with abundance, and I encourage that you give it a try. So just remember that abundance is not something that is outside of you. It begins the moment you believe that you are worthy of receiving it. So it's not outside of you. It begins with you believing that you're worthy of receiving it. So become like this beautiful rainforest or river. Undo your blockages. Be aware of your negative programming that you've received from your society, your family, your community, and start believing, start making space, and start welcoming this abundance into your life. I have my email in the description of this channel. You're always free to reach out to me. I'm always there to talk, and you can do it. And it's like, this is all a slow process, and that's why we're here. Have a great day.